listening to the IFF TV podcast.
Off with last night's huge events in terms of the European Super League and the 12 clubs that have decided to go off and play in this Super League and basically leave football fans behind because they've just shown that they absolutely don't care about them. And in my opinion, I think this is a great opportunity for football fans in Ireland who maybe not necessarily follow an Irish club, but obviously have supported Premier League through the years or whatever. I think this is a chance for Irish clubs to kind of show that the fans mean more to them than the, I suppose, Premier League clubs and those clubs in the European Super League have shown. But I do also think it's a chance for, if people do decide to come along and start supporting the League of Ireland, we can't have fans of the League of Ireland then start being snobby towards them and being like, he's just going to come in now. Like, we should be just accepting that fact that if we are going to get fans in, we need to just accept them as they are. They're going to start supporting the clubs from here on in. And we should be welcoming them with open arms, in my opinion. What do you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I mean, anybody is welcome to come to our games. And I think I hear what you're saying, Paul, and there is a small element to say that you've been supporting the league all the time and now you're discovering Bohs or discovering Pats in your 20s or 30s or whatever it is. But anybody is welcome to come to our games. We need lots of fans. God, we need any fans back at the moment, but we need, hopefully, when we get this vaccine, we'll have fans back at games soon. And the more the merrier. The more new fans we can attract, the better it's going to make our league. And we're missing them so much. I think this Super League is a horrible idea. I hate to see it. In some ways, I'd say it probably won't affect me too much in that it won't affect our league. I don't see Shamrock Rovers running off to be invited or even to join it. I would have a concern because it is, as you said, it's based on greed and it's based on more money and a bigger slice of the pie. Now, the one caveat I have and the one concern I have is at the moment, European football is huge for our clubs. Our champions can make, probably Shamrock Rovers are going to make at least €1 million from the Champions League this season, potentially even more. If they can win their first round game, they could end up with a minimum of 8 games and a great chance of getting group stage football. That's huge for them. Our clubs in the European Conference will probably each get at least probably make $250,000, possibly more. Just every round is worth so much money. Now, it's worth this money because UEFA sell the rights to the Champions League and they make so much money off this. If these clubs do get their way and they leave, all that money's gone. It's not going to be spread between the 55 member associations of Europe. It's going to be spread between the 12, 15, 20 clubs, whatever clubs end up in this league. So it is an absolutely crucial time for football in Europe and worldwide that this really has to fail. And it's not just about those clubs. It's not just about our clubs. It's about the FAI as well. It's about our national association because there's so much of the UEFA money, the TV rights. It all comes back to the national associations. I think it's something like 10 million a year the FAI get from the share of the TV pool, and that goes to other smaller national associations because we are one of the small ones. Let's be frank, we're a small country, and we're not a big TV market or anything like that. So it's bad news in many ways. The place it could be good news for us is maybe people will wake up and see that Liverpool are not the people's club. And I think people are deluded. I don't think people can be deluded anymore. I mean, this is being looked at. If this Super League does take off, it's not going to be Liverpool playing at Anfield against Real Madrid. It'll be Liverpool playing in Riyadh, in Abu Dhabi, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in the United States. There's going to be there's going to be so many of these games played around the world. They're not going to be played at Anfield. They're not going to be played at the Emirates or the Tottenham Stadium or the Bernabeu or the Camp Nou. They're going to be. Some of this came out of La Liga not allowing the games to be played in the USA, the 39th game in the Premier League not happening, and this is where the fans are the fans that are being targeted. So a lot of these clubs aren't as concerned about the local fans in Liverpool. They probably feel they'll get them back, or the local Man United fans. It's the Asian market, it's the American market. And I'll tell a small anecdote. And I was on holidays in the States in 2016, and Bayern Munich, I think it was Bayern Munich and Real Madrid were playing. There was a massive friendly on in New York at the same time. And I was there with my kids, and I was looking and said, "Geez, whoa, what a chance!" Then I looked, and the cheapest ticket I could get was something like $70 or $80, and then there was tax and all on top of that. And then you couldn't even buy the cheap tickets. And I would have been bringing the kids and everything. I said, "Why bother?" And it would be just a soulless game. And I mean, that's what I would think will happen to a lot of these. Now, the game was still played in front of a full house, something like 70,000 people in the Giant Stadium. But it's not real football. It's not like Real Madrid going to Anfield in front of 50,000 screaming. The atmosphere you'll get at Anfield, the atmosphere on the big European nights, that's not going to happen. You're not going to get that in Los Angeles or in Singapore or in China. Okay, you're going to get your full houses, but it's more consumers. They'll buy maybe more replica shirts and all this, and you'll have your pay-per-view TV. But I think anyway, from our perspective, from our clubs, it's a massive opportunity to connect with local fans and to get back to see what local football is doing. And I mean, take Bohs. I think Bohs have been the classic example. They've done a fantastic job in recent years of effectively reinventing their club. They've become the people's club. They've got loads of new members, loads of people who wouldn't have gone to League of Ireland before. They've signed up, they've become Bohs members, become Bohs supporters. Unfortunately, they can't go at the moment, but hopefully they'll be back soon. And they've seen a massive transformation in this club, and hats off to them. It's been fantastic. So it is an opportunity for the league. I would be concerned about the European money, though, if this does come off.
Yeah, but I do besides the European stuff, I do think that this is a massive opportunity for clubs to have initiatives and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not helping at the moment, that the fact that we can't have fans, but I think now is the time to start trialing and getting fans back as soon as possible. And then as soon as we can get fans back into grounds, then start letting these people come in and just let them try it out. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they can't allow free access to games and stuff like that, and I obviously wouldn't expect them to do that. But what I'm saying is, I look at people online, they always say, all these people who support the Premier League and all, and why don't they support Liverpool? You can't force it upon people, but now is a good opportunity to approach it in a way in which welcome these people who may not have supported the League of Ireland, may have laughed at it in the past. It doesn't matter if they've laughed at it in the past. Now is the time to start getting them in and support them, because we need to grow our own league, and it's real football, as in there's passion, there's fans who actually absolutely love the clubs, and then you have as well the clubs love the fans. It's not like you're I'm gonna say Liverpool, Man United and stuff like that because Gary Neville name checked them, but they've shown that they don't care about their fans. But the thing is, a club in Ireland would give anything to have those people as fans, even if they're just, I don't want to use the term blow-ins, but even if they were just coming in and just starting to become fans or whatever, who cares? Even if they start becoming glory hunters, following Shamrock Rovers because they're winning stuff, who cares? As long as they're coming into grounds, they're paying money and they're giving back to Irish football, and it's helping Irish football grow. It's only going to help Irish football. Do you know what I mean? And I think this is a huge opportunity, because we've looked at, I suppose, through the last 20 to 30 years, they've always been the Sky Sports, the games on TV and stuff like that, and people just wouldn't go to live games. Now is your opportunity, as soon as fans are back, to start going to live games and just get a taste of it. Okay, at least if you don't like it, just try it once. Try go and just see if you like it, and maybe grab a couple of your friends, or maybe your friends and their kids, and they all mingle together and go to the games. Because that's how I grew up, going to the games. That's when my dad used to take us to Talk Park and all the away games. And I remember I'd have my brother, my cousin, all of our friends as well. We would all be at the games, and we'd be going down even at half time at the UCD Bowl, or even throughout the game at the UCD Bowl. We were actually playing football at the side of the pitch and stuff like that. We were having our own little matches, and it was some of the best days of our lives. And then obviously growing up with Shells, obviously you mentioned Europe earlier on when Shells were playing Hadrick Split and stuff like that. We had some great days out, and there's still some of the best days of my life from my childhood as going to League of Ireland games every single Friday night. So I think this is a huge opportunity if people can start getting behind this, and I don't know, maybe the FAI and the league and the clubs in the league can start getting behind it. I've seen Bows already trying to attract fans from other clubs and stuff like that. Not other clubs in Ireland, other clubs of, say, Premier League clubs that are, but even on our Instagram, I put up a post last night, and the post is blown up. And there's people from all different clubs, and they were all commenting and tagging clubs. And I know some of them don't follow League of Ireland, but they were saying I'm following this club, that club. Now, hopefully they follow through with that. I can't say that they will or they won't, but hopefully they do follow through with that. And then it's just kind of going from there. And I've seen people there was a American guy, I can't remember his name now, but if he's watching, I hope, fair play to you. He's a Galway fan now. And I think he was asking how could we watch Galway. I was like, check out loitv.ie and you can get a season's pass, or you can watch the games that way. And he was like, oh my God, I didn't know that and stuff like that. So it's about just spreading that awareness and letting people know that there is stuff out there. I think someone said he was a Man United fan. He's after purchasing a Watch LOI subscription. Again, they could be just saying it, but it doesn't really matter. When I saw it, I was like, that's exactly it. We need to move on from this and start getting people getting Watch LOI and so on. And obviously then once we can start getting fans back into games, we need to capitalise on this more than ever.
Yeah, we need fans back. We need fans back soon, Paul. I love the fact that Leinster Rugby are trying to do a trial initiative in the RDS next month, and I've been by no means a fan of Leinster Rugby, but it's great they're doing it. I hope some League of Ireland clubs can follow suit on it. I was really disappointed to read in today's paper that Poland are basically moving their training camp to elsewhere. It looks like the Euros is definitely dead for Dublin. I think that's a massive opportunity lost for this country. And I think it's sad the government don't seem to care. Now, I appreciate how bad things are with this virus and everything, but things are getting better. And I think they could do more with outdoor activities, particularly given the stats that is it 1 in 1,000 cases are caused by outdoor transmission. I think we've been incredibly conservative with letting fans into games with outdoor activities, even letting kids back playing sports outdoors. They can sit in the classroom together and they can't play sport together. Anyway, let's go on that one. But we really do need fans back. And another thing is, the League of Ireland is massive entertainment. For 15 or 20 euro on a Friday night, you can go out, you can watch a live game. The quality is really good and the atmosphere is fantastic, and you can go and have a pint or whatever you want to do. You can bring the kids, and it really is a great entertainment, and hopefully we can all get back to big crowds soon for that. And I think it is a massive opportunity for the clubs here, because if your Real Madrids and your Barcelonas and your Liverpools and your Manchester Uniteds are off playing in Abu Dhabi and Los Angeles, there is a fantastic opportunity for people to look locally and see you've got domestic football right on your doorstep. The games are easily accessible. Tallagh's on the Lewis, Dalymount's on the Lewis, Pat's at Richmond Park is on the Lewis. It's very easy to get to Tolka. They're all here in Dublin. There's loads of opportunities. You've clubs around the country. Eamon DC Park in Galway, fantastic facility. The Markets Field in Limerick, Turner's Cross, brilliant stadium. So you've got, wherever you are in the country, you've got opportunities to watch good quality live football, and there's a real opportunity when fans are back for clubs to capitalise on this.
Yeah, no, I think we've pretty much covered it there, and you've hit the nail on the head on a lot of points there. So we'll move on to the actual football from the weekend, and I suppose we'll kick things off. The early kick-off on Friday, Ger was at this one. It was Waterford 0, Bows 1, and Rob Cornwall got, as Ger described him, as the goal-scoring hero. He laughed that one off. He scored in the 44th minute. It was a Tyreek Wilson free kick, and there was Cornwall there to tap home and give Bows a big victory. There's a lot of controversy surrounding Waterford on Friday. There was a lot of talks about bust-up between the assistant manager and Brian Murphy and Oscar Brennan, and the fact that Oscar Brennan wasn't in the squad and Brian Murphy wasn't in the squad. It's all been squashed since, and there was statements and stuff released. Oscar Brennan had a facial injury, and Brian Murphy had, I think he had a little bit of a fallout with the management or something like that, but he said he hadn't left the club, as people were saying he had left the club or whatever. But I think these things really get thrown way out of proportion, because I'm sure at every football club there is bust-ups. You're training every day with these people and stuff like that, and eventually tensions will rise and stuff like that. And look, it's football. These things happen, and people make it such an ordeal about it. But I think, obviously, Bows go 6 now, and they've got two huge games coming up. But I wasn't surprised when I seen the scoreline, especially when you have someone like Murphy out, who's absolutely brilliant as well. But Bows, again, it's another victory for them, and they seem to be starting to get the season back on track.
Yeah, so as you say, Paul, these dust-ups, they do happen. Normally, they don't see the light of day. Maybe they see the light of day. Maybe they happen more and see the light of day more when teams are struggling, because Waterford are struggling. Apart from that fantastic win at the Brandywell, it's been a difficult season, difficult start to the season for Waterford, and that'll be a disappointing defeat for them. It seemed like only a week or so ago we were talking about Bows struggling and making a poor start to the season. And since then, they've gone to Oriel Park and beat Dundalk. They've gone down to the RSC and beat Waterford. So definitely Keith Long has turned things around, as we expected. And I did say it even when they were struggling. So I'm not... He has done a superb job there. He has had to replace his squad virtually every year. They lost the crucial front three from last season. But there are signs they've turned things around. As you say, a couple of crucial matches against the two Rovers, Sligo Rovers in Dalymount on Tuesday night, and then the absolute massive game in Tala against Shamrock Rovers on Friday. Tough games, and it will be a real test, because against two teams who are riding high at the top of the table. And it will be very interesting to see how Bows do in both of those games. But they're also very, very tough games for Sligo and Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, but I think Bows are starting to get in a little bit of a rhythm. I think we'd spoken about before. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with some games, especially the Finn Harps one earlier in the season. Like, they gifted them a goal and never really recovered after that. And then it was kind of struggles. I know they drew 2-2 with Longford, but I watched Longford against Shamrock Rovers the other night, and they're a good side. They're a good counter-attacking side, and they defend well. Good, young, energetic team. So I can see actually how they conceded 2 goals to them. Even after being 2-0 up. But I do think that Bows have, as you say, a lot of new players coming in, and they're starting maybe to gel now and stuff like that. I know Georgie Kelly's got off the mark with goals. Obviously, Tyreek Wilson played his part in that goal, albeit it was saved by the goalkeeper, but it's still a really good free kick. So yeah, I think they'll start getting into a bit of a groove now, and you'll start seeing them picking up points. But these games are massive, and Sligo are flying at the moment, as well as Shamrock Rovers, in terms of the league position. I know we'll come to Shamrock Rovers and how they've actually been playing in the later in the show. But I think, yeah, for Bows, it's looking good for them now to kick on a little bit,
Yeah, definitely. And I think they will be up there challenging, up near the top of the table for the rest of the season. But yeah, these 2 games are massive, and they will be very, very interesting.
And just on Waterford then, because, they never seem to be far from drama in terms of the club. It always seems like everything gets thrown to the media, and it's like everything that should be kept behind closed doors isn't, and it's always out there. It always seems that their dirty laundry seems to be aired a lot. So you know, I know someone like Kevin Sheedy who would like to try and keep things private. He's probably not used to having all this kind of stuff out in the open and stuff like that. You know, I heard that he refused to speak about some things and walked off in the interview. That's what I read online. So, like, I think for Kevin, obviously, he wants to just focus on football. I don't think he really likes speaking to media people anyway. I never really got that impression from, even when he's done show with us, he seems quite reserved and quite shy. I think obviously he's very good in terms of from his football point of view, and I'm sure he's a brilliant coach on the field of play and stuff like that in training, and obviously on the sideline. But I don't think speaking to the media is his strong point. So I'm not surprised by that, you know.
Yeah, and it's a tough one when there are obviously issues behind the scenes to have to come out and face the media and face the questioning, and particularly after a defeat at home. And it has been a very disappointing. I did mention the fantastic win in the Brandywell, but otherwise it's been a very disappointing start to the season. They were maybe a bit unlucky in that they were beaten by late goals in Drogheda and in Ballybuffet, and league table could look a lot different had they got held on for draws in both of those games, and particularly as probably Waterford, even at this stage, it looks like they're going to be involved in the relegation battle. Now, maybe at the start of the season, with the budget they had, etc., they would have expected to be a bit higher. I know there's kind of a lot of bad feeling down there on how they missed out in Europe, and I think that's where their fans and probably their board feel they belong, is challenging for the European spots. But I think if you're looking at the way things have gone so far, they are going to be in a relegation battle. And the one thing about this league, this Premier Division, it is very, very competitive. There are no easy games. There are no bad teams in it. And you need to be on your game or you'll get sucked into a relegation battle and you could be in big trouble. And at this point, it looks like Waterford are going to be in that relegation struggle.
Yeah, and they have a really tough game again tomorrow now against Pats as well in Richmond Park, which, you know, obviously they'll be travelling up for and stuff like that. So yeah, I look personally, having known Kevin Sheedy personally, I want to see him do well. I like Waterford as a club. I like Waterford as, you know, as a team. Do you know what I mean? I like in terms of their fans and stuff like that. I've always got on very well. I'm in a Facebook group with Waterford fans, and I do like what they're about, and I do like how they get behind their team despite the struggles, despite all that. It's like Ireland. There always seems to be never far from drama, but like their fans I always think are really good, and yeah, I just hope that they don't get relegated. But this isn't the European Super League, and someone has to get relegated, unfortunately. So it is what it is. But I suppose we'll take it over to Jer because he spoke with Rob Cornwall and Keith Long. You can hear what they had to say here.
Bohemians match-winning hero Rob Cornwall joins us here on Irish Football Fan TV following their 1-0 victory away to Waterford tonight. Rob, second victory in a row. Do you feel bit by bit it's getting back to the Bohemians we've known for the last few years?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think hero's really a good shout for me. I don't think I've ever got that. No, but we're getting a little bit there. We're starting to gel now. Obviously, I think there's about 40% of the team is new this year, so it's going to take a couple of games to get going. Obviously, the last couple of games we are starting to gel a little bit more. 2 clean sheets, which is good. Obviously, I don't think we played particularly well tonight. There's a lot to improve on, but yeah, delighted to get a win on a goal, a screamer.
Yeah, it's Dickens the archives of small. See, when's the last time you got a goal? 2018 was the best of my research. Will I be correct in saying that?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's only my 4th goal, and I don't know how many games now, but more the clean sheet, man. I think.
Yeah, I suppose there's no really kind of point asking to talk you through the goal because all you'd do was kind of tap into an empty net. But the free kick from Tyreek, I suppose you all know about it because he scored a cracker against you in Daymount last year. It was a brilliant delivery, or brilliant free kick in general, I should say.
Yeah, no, I knew when he was stepping up he was going to hit the target or get close to it, so it was just up to myself or Georgie to mop it up, and I don't know who actually got it in the end, but I'll claim it.
Overall, in general, I kind of felt that, like with Waterford, the way that they set up, they had kind of, you know, compacted that midfield, 3 at the back. They took you kind of bit by bit to kind of work your way into the game. And
yeah, I think at the start of the game, I think our intensity was a little bit low and it was a little bit frustrating. I don't know if that was the pitch. I don't like just blaming it on the pitch. I think I think we need to bring it from ourselves. But yeah, I think they've done well. They sat in, they made it hard for us to play at times, especially when they had 10 men. I don't think we did ourselves any favours by moving the ball, but yeah, it was okay. It wasn't their best performance, but we'll take the win.
And finally moving on, busy week ahead now. It's kind of the first double game week of the season. You got Sligo Rovers at home on Tuesday night, and then you got the big one against Shamrock Rovers away on Friday. But I suppose the old mantle it, one game at a time, and first it's going to be all focused on that game on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I think the main thing now is just recovery. It's tough to play 3 games in a week. Obviously, a lot of lads will be going into games, they're still sore, still achy. But yeah, so it's up to us now to sleep, eat, drink, everything well. Obviously, it's a big game against Sligo. They'll be fighting for the same spots as us, so it'll be a big one.
I think you ticked it all off the box there with the recovery. Thanks, Rob.
All right, nice one.
Keith, second victory in a row, 1-0 again. Thoughts on the performance?
A little bit flat performance-wise tonight from us. I thought we weren't near the levels that we produced up in Oriel tonight. Didn't pass the ball with fluency, didn't move the ball around, didn't move the opposition around enough, didn't create too many goal-scoring opportunities, didn't get the ball into wide areas enough, didn't get people across defenders in the box when we did get the ball into wide areas and we were in a position to cross it. So I thought the performance levels were probably down gears, there's no doubt about it, and we need to we're very pleased to come away and win. It's not easy to win back-to-back away from home. We kept another clean sheet, that's a positive. James Talbot was very good again tonight, clean hands and good decision making. But overall, disappointed with how we played, and we'll need to improve upon that certainly into next week.
Would you be still very happy with your defensive side of the game? Because apart from an early header, a free header, which you wouldn't be too happy about for Kyle Ferguson in the second half, Wolverhampton never really looked like getting equalised, and I kind of felt that you're always going to kind of win the game because defensively you looked very solid.
No, we were comfortable in the game, but my point is this, that we didn't move the opposition around enough, particularly in the second half when for a half an hour they were down to 10 players. So we didn't create overloads down the side, we didn't pass the ball around with any great fluency. The pitch was a little bit sticky, but we're not, we played on worse pitches than that, and we just need to be better in terms of possession, use the ball better, play forward quicker, play smarter in terms of how we want to build attacks, position, angle for the ball quicker, and generally speaking, play forward, fast forward, attacking football, and we haven't been able to do that tonight, which is a little bit disappointing. The players know that, the players know they need to improve on that performance, but we'll take a win, and it certainly is, on the back of going to Oriel Park last week and getting a real confidence boosting win up there and a really good performance up in Oriel Park. Tonight felt a little bit that we were off the pace to a certain extent, but we were comfortable. There was never really a time where I felt we were in trouble. But like I said, we probably need to be more creative, more incisive with our passing. Decision making needs to be better. Our movement needs to be better to open up the opportunities and create opportunities. After
failing to win any of your opening 3, that's now back-to-back victories that I allude to, back-to-back clean sheets. Do you kind of feel now that you're up and running, and definitely in terms of points and table, you're getting to kind of where you want to be in the standards you set over the last couple of years? Yeah, well, the table looks a little bit better for us, that's for sure. But yeah, and absolutely, there's no doubt 2 wins propels you up the table a little bit. So, but overall, 5 games in, I think there's lots to do, lots to improve upon, and we need to improve. We need to be better. We need to demand more from each other. And the boys are working hard. Like, there's no doubt, no question how hard they work and how they prepare, how they train. They give everything that they possibly can. So we just need to be better, and I believe we can get better. This is a group that can continue to grow, and we can improve. And I've no doubt that there is that growth in the dressing room. We have the characters to bring us on, and hopefully we can use this as a springboard maybe to kick into next week with some positive performances in 2 tough games against both Rovers. Last season, Andy Lyons and Todd Breslin not only just established themselves as the regular fullbacks in your side, but arguably some of the best in the league. But we've seen 2 of the new boys, Rory Feely and Tyreek Wilson, come inside and fighting games. Really does underline you've got good strength and depth in the overall squad. Yes, we do, and we're lucky to have Tyreek and Anto in that position, Andy and Rory, that can play at right full. Rory has been a good addition to us. He can play in a number of positions for us. Andy, we left him at home tonight, so he's a little bit of a niggle picked up at the end of the game against St. Pat's. I had to bring him off last week against Dundalk. So we have quality, but we need to use that quality. We need to try and, like I said,
play a little bit better than tonight. Let's call a spade a spade. Tonight was down gears. We're flat in terms of performance. You know, we played better and lost this year, believe it or not. So I know that would. But listen, it is what it is, and we have to try and get on with it. It's great that we've come away with the win. We've got another 3 points in the bag, and we go into next week. We recover well tomorrow and get ourselves ready for the games against Sligo Rovers and Shamrock Rovers on Tuesday and Friday.
Keith, as always, thanks for your time and safe travels.
Cheers.
Okay, the Brandywell. Derry City won, Drogheda won. Goals from James Brown and Ronan Boyce with the equaliser in the 40th minute. I suppose this one at the moment is, it's kind of funny because if you're looking at the start of the season, you probably would have said the two teams are in the opposite positions, but it's just the way the league has started for Derry. I mean, they've played 5 games, they've got 1 point at bottom of the league, and they're not showing signs of getting out of that at the moment. I know, look, they were down to 10 men quite early against Pats last week, and that didn't help their cause. But they need to start picking up points fast, or they will be, cemented down near the bottom. It's we spoke about Waterford there and kind of how they're going at the moment, but actually Derry are in a worse position in terms of just their results, because I just don't see them picking up points at the moment, and they've got good players and stuff like that, but they need to start getting some results before the confidence is totally drained out of that squad. And obviously as time goes on, the results mount like that, Declan Devine's going to be in serious pressure, under serious pressure, sorry. And Drogheda, I mean, I look at them, and Tim Clancy's done a brilliant job so far, and I think that they will be there or thereabouts in terms of the mid-table. I think they'll stay throughout the season, because they've shown in games that they can battle with the big boys, and we've spoken so many times already in our League of Ireland shows so far about how they've bought sensibly, and that, bringing in players of the experience. Maybe if you look at someone like Longford, who didn't maybe bring in the players of the experience like Drogheda have, and you can see Drogheda are reaping the rewards from it so far. So what did you think of the game anyway?
Yeah, it was a great point for Drogheda. Even though they were a goal ahead, I think they'll be delighted to get out of the Brandywell with a point. I'm not so sure I agree with you that they'll stay more or less where they are, but I think they'll probably avoid relegation reasonably comfortably enough, which I think ultimately, I mean, 8th position, they would have bitten your hand off for that at the start of the season. But as we've said before, signing the likes of Dane Massey, Ronan Murray, etc., they've got some experienced, quality players in the league, and that's going to stand to them. And James Brown, who scored the goal from full back, has been a bit of a revelation. He's got a couple of assists as well already. I think he set up the own goal, wasn't it, against Waterford, and set up one of their other goals as well. So, Drogheda are doing incredibly well. Tough one on Tuesday against Shamrock Rovers, but it'll be a tough one for Rovers as well. And it is very worrying what's happening at the Brandywell. I mean, Declan Devine is under massive pressure, and it's sad for him because he is one of the nicest guys in League of Ireland football, but it needs to turn around very quickly, because Derry have a big budget, and they definitely, we talked about Waterford, but even more so with Derry, they would definitely expect to be challenging for the European places and would expect to be playing in Europe. And it's not just this season start. They had a very, very disappointing finish to last season, and they finished the season. They just had gone on another few games. Who knows, they may have ended up in a relegation playoff or even got relegated, and that's simply not good enough. It won't be acceptable up there. And the start to this season has been very disappointing. Losing to Longford, losing at home to Waterford, they're kind of the results. Drawing with Drogheda, it's those results rather than the home defeat by Rovers or the defeat away at the Pats that's really going to hurt them. And Dundalk going to the Brandywell on Tuesday night, well, it's a massive match for both clubs. I'm sure if there is a winner, whoever wins it will get a great boost, because both teams could really, really do with the win in that game. But Declan Devine has got to be under massive pressure at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's I think he was under massive pressure anyway, 2 games in, when the results were going their way. But now it's a case of, I think if they don't get a win this week, he'll be really serious pressure. And I don't like talking about this type of stuff because I don't like anyone losing their job, especially in this current climate. But it's football, and you have to win games, or else these types of questions will be asked of you. Now, obviously, we're not going to ask these questions or whatever, but I'm sure the Derry fans online are not happy with results at the minute, considering the players that they've brought in as well. Because you've got players like Parkhouse there, who is a very, very good player, and I think you'll start to see him throughout the course of the season, some of the stuff he can do and stuff like that. You've Joe Hodge, who hasn't played a game yet. I think he's been injured as well, so that doesn't help their case. But again, I don't know how big of a player Joe Hodge will be for them, because he's coming in 6-month loan deal, and if he does start to affect things, then he may be gone. Hopefully they can extend that if that is the case, but again, you're dependent on someone who is Joe Hodge is 17 or 16 or 17 at this point in time.
Yeah, he's actually someone I'm really excited to see in the League of Ireland, because he's obviously a very young player. And this is a massive test for him, playing men's football for the first time, because it's going to be a lot more serious than playing at 17 in the under-21 leagues, etc. He really impressed for the Irish under-17 side.
He's 18,
I think he's 18 now. Okay, but it's a great show of confidence in our league that Manchester City would actually send him here on loan. He is somebody that I am very hopeful. I mean, even looking at that under-17 team in Tallaght when fans could go to the games, he was a standout player, and he has the potential to be a top midfielder in the Premier League or wherever. So, yes, it's a big ask to come into men's football, to come into a side that's struggling in the league, but I think it's a fantastic opportunity to see how he gets on. I really hope he's back fit and available and playing soon. And hopefully it'll stand to him. And maybe clubs like Manchester City will then look at loaning more players out to our league.
Yeah, but I just think that Derry shouldn't be dependent on an 18-year-old who hasn't played professional football in a men's league yet. I think he will need time to adapt and come in and play, and I hope he does do well, but not to be expecting, the reincarnation of Messi to come in and walk it, because that probably won't be the case. He probably will need a couple of games to get his fitness, then his sharpness. I just hope he gets the time to do it. But regardless, I think Derry need to pick up results with or without him, and they need to do it fast for their own sake, for Declan Levoy's sake, and for the fans' sake, because they shouldn't be where they are in the league table.
No, and I mean, as we're saying, there's no bad teams in this league, so if confidence is low, you're not getting results, you can very easily get marooned at the bottom.
Yeah, no, 100%. But we'll move on anyway to Shamrock Rovers and Longford. Obviously, a 2-1 win, a late win for Shamrock Rovers. I was at this game. Again, I don't know what it is with the games that I've been choosing to go to. They just have not been classics. I know the scoreline makes out that it might have been a good game, but it really wasn't, because it started bright. Aaron Dobbs capitalises on Pico Lopez. He was kind of dilly-dallying on the ball, gets dispossessed. Dobbs is through on goal and does the kind of clever thing, I think, where he puts his body in front of Pico Lopez, and the only thing he can do is take him down for a penalty. Now, I don't know what way the rules are at the minute in terms of if you take someone down for the penalty, is it not a red card for the last man or whatever? Because Darragh Doyle seemed to be very, very aggrieved at the end of the game that he thought that should have been a red card. But in some cases, and I've read before, like some cases, the punishment is already there with a penalty, so the yellow card comes into effect. I don't know what way that rule is at the minute, but anyway, a penalty was given. Dylan Grimes scored the penalty, sent Alan Manis the wrong way. But I actually was very impressed with Longford. It's the first time I've seen them live, and I was very impressed with them. Just how they handled themselves against Shamrock Rovers, who obviously dominate the ball and obviously have great players and stuff, but they just narrowed themselves and they made themselves really, really hard to kind of play against. But as well as that, when they had chances to go on the counter-attack, they did. They probably just lacking that that quality goal scorer. Aaron Dobbs will work hard and run all day for them, and he's a great focal point for them, but he's probably not going to score the goals in a prolific sense, but he might get maybe 6-7 for the season, which again is still good. and he's still a young lad and stuff like that. But I just think that if they want to maybe climb up the league table, they probably need someone who adds a bit more goals to the team. But like I look at them and I think these will do well this season. I really thought that from watching them. And just because they just showed no fear. I was very, very impressed. On the other hand, with Shamrock Rovers, I wasn't impressed. They looked like they struggled to get out of second gear. Stephen Bradley said to me after the game as well, he's like, we just didn't really seem to, I wouldn't say he said showed them respect, but it showed the game respect, I think he said after the game. And they kind of stepped up in the second half, but really like they just didn't look like anything was going on in the first half. It was a boring watch, if I'm being honest, in the first half. Then things opened up in the second half, and they got the penalty. Then again, Darragh Doyle didn't feel like it was a penalty. It was kind of one of those. It was actually the other way around. It was Dobbs on Pico this time around, and Pico kind of puts his backside into him, and it goes down. It looked like a penalty to me. Darragh Doyle feels like it wasn't. But anyway, Graham Burke scores the goal and gets Shamrock Rovers, Sligo fans, gets Shamrock Rovers back into it. And then, it was just kind of one of those. Longford had a couple of chances on the counter-attack as well. Forced a good save from Alamanis. A shot from Chambers just went over the bar onto the roof of the net. So there were some close calls. I actually thought that Longford may sneak it. And then at the end, there was a lot of controversy over the free kick, and then Dylan Watts hits the wall and the ball comes out to Sean Gannon and he just smashes it. He aims to hit the target. It hits a Longford player and sends the keeper the wrong way. And heartbreak for Longford really, and joy for Shamrock Rovers as Sean Gannon was running away in jubilation with the goal. So obviously the win, but Shamrock Rovers still, for me, I watched a few of their games this season and they just look to me like they're just struggling to get out of that. They could look like they could go up in gears, but they're just not going up in gears, and they need to start doing it. They need to start putting away teams. Obviously they're going to have Richie Towell coming in mid-season there, which would be huge for them, but they seem to be lacking something. I can't quite put my finger on it, but they're lacking something at the minute. And they've brought in good players, the likes of Manjaro and Chris McCann. I think he's been brilliant. I've watched him closely. I think he's a really, really good player. Just the way he plays. I just really like the way Shamrock Rovers play out from the back, and when he gets on the ball, just even the way he's always on the half turn and he always makes something happen. He's always available for the ball. He's a really classy player. One thing I would like to note is obviously Stephen Bradley made subs at half time in the game. He made a double substitution, and Gary O'Neill came on and actually played kind of a right-sided centre back in the back three, and I thought he'd done really well when he came on. I think Lee Grace went off. I think he hasn't been 100% fit anyway. I think Lee Grace is a fabulous player, by the way, but O'Neill came in, doing a really good job in there, and Rory Gaffney, and he seems to be one that's kind of gone a little bit under the radar. I think he gives Shamrock Rovers something else as well. I think he's a very good player. But this is the thing, when Shamrock Rovers are able to bring on players like that, I think it shows in the end, because they took off Ronan Finn as well, brought on Gaffney. So Stephen Bradley's not afraid to make big calls, but I think the in-game management was the difference there. And maybe Shamrock Rovers are a bit more cuter than Longford. And I think that kind of showed when you've seen Darragh Doyle not very happy with decisions at the end of the game. And I have to say, to Darragh Doyle's credit, he stayed and he spoke to every single media outlet, which I thought was really, really good. And he could have just walked off and been fuming because they conceded so late in the game. But I thought, I thought 1-1 could have been a fair result, if I'm being honest, because both sides had good chances on goal. But Shamrock Rovers showing why they're champions, in my opinion, and even when they're still not playing that well, they're still grinding out results.
Yeah, a few things here, Paul. First of all, there's no doubt, and I fully agree with you, this is not the same Shamrock Rovers team as last season, the team that dominated the league, that won the league unbeaten at a canter. But they're still unbeaten, and if you look at the league table, who's sitting on the top, and you're not playing well, I mean, imagine what's going to happen when they do click and when they do start playing well. So in many ways, I think Stephen Bradley would be delighted with the character of his side to go and win a game like that against Longford. Looking at it before the game, you'd say, yeah, it should have been 3 or 4-0 to Shamrock Rovers. watching the game, I only saw the highlights, but definitely agree a draw would have been a much fairer result. But it wasn't a draw, and they found a way to win. They found a way to score at the very end. Even against Pats in the first game of the season, they found a way to avoid defeat. They scored so late. Down in Sligo, they were a goal down, went to goal down in the last few minutes as well. They just found a way not to lose. And that is a really, really good sign of a team, because they're not playing well. They're certainly not the team of last season, but boy, they're really, really difficult to beat. So from that perspective, I imagine Stephen Bradley is very happy, and he does obviously have time to turn it around, given that particularly they're top of the table. Yeah, Dara Doyle, Longford were very aggrieved with the decisions, and I definitely have some sympathy for them. The penalty, the rule is actually a bit confused. A lot of people make this mistake. It's not actually last man at all. It's denying a clear and obvious goal-scoring opportunity. And my understanding from the penalty is, if it's an attempt to play the ball, then it is, and it's definitely a foul, then it ends up as a yellow card. But if it's a blatant foul, just denying the goal-scoring opportunity and no attempt is made to play the ball, then it should be a red card. So I can see from Dara Doyle's perspective how he thinks it should have been a red card, and maybe feels it's a much bigger call for a referee to send off Pico Lopez of Shamrock Rovers, of the champions, and to give a penalty to the visitors in the first 10 minutes of the game. But it's a tough one for the referee as well. And he must be absolutely gutted, because Sean Gannon's the winning goal, I mean, it in the 90th minute, it took a deflection. It's great for Shamrock Rovers, but it's gutting for Longford. But he can take a lot of heart from the performance, because if you go back a week, they were beaten 4-0 at home by Drogheda. And you're kind of thinking, right, Longford, brilliant start, beat Derry, got a point at Dalymount, and just maybe things are starting to calm down now. 4-0 home defeat by Drogheda, and you're thinking, God, they could go on a run now and lose 7, 8, 9 games on the bounce and get marooned at the bottom of the table. And certainly on that performance, even though they lost in Tala on Saturday, it's got to give them great heart. Massive week now for Longford. 2 games against teams that they would expect to be around them at the bottom of the league. And well, the first one is Finn Harps, and Finn Harps fans are probably not going to be very happy with me on this one, because I will look at the league table, and Harps are near the top, and with a bit of luck they could have been actually top or clear at the top. But Longford will be targeting this game against Harps as a potential winnable game, and then Longford go down to the RSC to face Waterford, and I think we'll have a very good idea where Longford stand after those 2 games.
Yeah, I think Ethan will be after you up in Finn Harps now after that. But I'm only joking. I think with Longford, I think they can take massive positives from the game. That they took the lead in the 5th minute, and they defended really, really well. They were very narrow. They were a very low block and just sat in and really frustrated Shamrock Rovers. You could see, they were trying to play through them and stuff like that, but there was just so many bodies that they just couldn't create that space. And eventually, obviously, with the corner, then they got the penalty, and then it kind of opened the game up a little bit when it went 1-1. But they're just relentless, Shamrock Rovers. Even though I didn't feel like they played well at all, they still grinded out the result. And I said to Stephen Bradley after the game, I was just like, is that something you say to them, like, to just never give up till the final whistle? But I suppose we'll let just listen to the interviews after the game. I spoke with Stephen Bradley and Dara Doyle, so you can hear that here.
A 2-1 victory, leaving it late, wouldn't be like it. You must be delighted with the win in the end.
Yeah, we're delighted with the win, delighted with the second half performance, but first half I thought we were really poor, probably as bad as we've been in probably 12 months. But second half was more like us. We created 5 or 6 really good chances. The keeper made 2 good saves, and we got the win in the end.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was coming just purely to the fact that they were just sitting in and just made it very narrow. It looked like you were finding it hard to break them down.
Yeah, like you said, at times they had a back 7 or 8 across the edge of the box, and and that's difficult to break down. Sometimes if you're a half a yard wrong, it breaks down because there's so many bodies there. But I think it showed the group showed tremendous trust and belief in what we do, to keep doing what we're doing. We didn't just launch it; we kept doing what we were doing, and we got rewards in the last minute or two.
Yeah, is that something that you kind of instill to the players, just to keep going to the very end?
Yeah, we talk about always in the group to trust the process and make sure that it doesn't frustrate you. Trust it and believe in it, and this group does that till the very end. And we've shown that on quite a number of occasions, and tonight we showed that again.
Yeah, because as well as that, obviously results have gone your way tonight. Do you think now you just seem to be focusing on yourselves? I know there's a lot of kind of drama at other clubs, but you seem to be just solely focused on what you are doing and just trying to get results that way.
Yeah, that's all we talk about. We just talk about ourselves. We talk about the game in front of us, respecting it. We didn't do that in the first half tonight, but second half we did. But we just focus on us. We focus on getting better every day and trying to win every game that's in front of us, and we'll continue to do that.
All right. Well, best luck next week and enjoy your weekend.
Cheers.
It must be a very frustrating way to lose a game. The last couple of seconds of the game, 2-1 loss. But your thoughts on the game overall? Because you started really, really well.
Yeah, no, we did. We put in a really strong performance. We came here with a game plan, and the lads pulled it off to a T. We caused them a number of problems. We went ahead early. We should have been playing against 10 men when the penalty was given for the remainder of the game. It was a call that didn't go our way, and one of the big calls this evening that didn't go our way. Again, I feel their penalty was slightly a bit soft. I feel the free kick in the 93rd minute wasn't a free kick that was given to them. So a couple of decisions didn't go our way, which obviously had a major bearing on how the game turned out. But on the performance and the way we played, we've come here to Tallaght Stadium and made life really, really difficult for Shamrock Rovers. And I'm really disappointed I'm here talking with 0 points, because I feel a point at minimum is something that I should be here talking about. And that's the disappointing aspect of it. And even if you look at the last kick of the game, I think we had a ball into the box and drops, and had we get a bit more power on it, maybe it goes in the corner, but Manus was able to go down it. But I can't ask for more from the lads. They put in a really spirited, strong, committed performance today.
Yeah, but like, I know what you're saying there, and I would agree. I did feel like you were hard done by, but he's even had a good few chances, especially down this hand. Alan Manus made a good save, then there was one that just went over the bar.
From Chambers, yeah, we had Aaron Robinson with a shot with his left peg that he pushes over the bar, and another, I think Shane Elworthy puts a ball in, and Chambers is in there with a half volley that just misses the far top corner. So we did have chances. We made it really difficult for Shamrock Rovers to play.
I thought you defended really, really well in terms of you made it very narrow, not much for Shamrock Rovers to do, and really frustrated them as well. So to be honest, from where I was sitting as a neutral and then seeing it going in, I couldn't believe it. I would have probably said 1-1 would have been a fair result myself.
Yeah, no, listen, and that's it, and that's what the disappointing thing is. But we've got to take positives from it. We've come here to Tallaght and put in a really strong performance, and we have a big week ahead of us now with Finn Harps on Tuesday and Waterford on Saturday. So listen, there's disappointment there this evening after not picking up anything in the game, but listen, you'll learn every week in this league, and that's something that we need to be at. We need to pick up results now on Tuesday and Saturday and bring this performance and things that we've done today into the following games. And if we do so and have performances like that, we'll pick up points, we'll cause problems.
Definitely. Well, Darragh, I don't want to keep you too long. You've been out here a while and it's cold and you've just lost the game. So listen, thanks very much for taking the time to chat.
Okay, and this game up in Oriel Park had all headlines throughout the whole day. Just not even anything to do with actual football matters on the pitch, but it was to do with their manager, or I don't know what you want to call Shane Keegan in this scenario, because there's so much confusion. The soap opera continues, in my opinion. I just can't get my head around it, but there was like all the headlines over the weekend were of Shane Keegan has stepped away. Has he or hasn't he? Then Jim Magilton is supposed to be stepping in to be on the sideline for the game and stuff like that. All the media outlets, all the Twitter journalists, all coming out and basically saying that Shane Keegan had stepped away from Dundalk before the game. So there was already, all eyes were on that game. Not really was said about the Shamrock Rovers Longford game. You know, all the journalists were all up at Dundalk to try and figure out what was going on there. It finished 1-1 in the actual game of football. Sam Bowen scoring for St. Pat's with a header from a corner, and then Junior getting a late goal for Dundalk to equalise as well. But I suppose the talking point here is obviously that managerial situation, and people were saying it's Filippo's last game and stuff like that. None of this has actually been 100% confirmed yet by the club, but if you're to believe Twitter and you're to believe journalists, that's what's doing the rounds.
Yeah, it seems like it is, though, Paul. I mean, some people I follow, like James Rogers, who does very much have his finger on the pulse of what's going on in Oriel Park. I mean, he actually said that Filippo told the players before the game that it was his last game. And I don't think someone like James Rogers is going to say things like that unless it's absolutely.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it hasn't been confirmed by the club, so we're not speculating. Okay. We're just saying what they are saying. That's all I'm saying. He is, yeah, he's usually spot on. So.
Yeah, I think it is going to happen. I mean, and the speculation now is around the new manager. And I've seen a few different names. I've seen Gerard Little being mentioned, the former Sligo and Cliftonville manager. I've seen the current Linfield manager, David Healy, being mentioned. And an even more left field one than David Healy is John Sheridan has been talked about, who was talking about pub leagues in Oriel Park not too long ago, from what I can remember.
That wasn't confirmed, by the way.
That wasn't confirmed either, okay. Yeah, so it is a bit of a soap opera up there. But you do look at that Dundalk squad and they have an incredibly talented bunch of players. And it's still, even if you look at the league table, they're down near the bottom, it's still not ridiculous to talk about Dundalk getting the right manager in and still winning the league this season. There's a long way to go, and they have got some really quality international players. I mean, they had players playing, Sonny Nasved playing for the Faroe Islands, scoring in the World Cup for the Faroe Islands. Guys playing for Latvia, guys playing from the Central African Republic in the African qualifiers. So the potential is there if you get the right manager in for that Dundalk squad to really go on a run. And it is a 36-game season. There's a long way to go. And but they need to turn it around very, very, very quickly. But in many ways, it was a total contrast of a game on Saturday. I mean, Pats, they definitely don't have the quality of players that Shamrock Rovers have, but boy, do they have a well-organised, well-drilled team, and they're doing incredibly well. Everyone is playing for each other, and Stephen O'Donnell's got to be very proud of that. Probably deserved to win, if I'm being honest, from what I could see from the highlights. Dundalk equalised very late in the game, but maybe another 5 or 10 minutes and Dundalk would have gone on to win it. It would have been an incredible win for them, but it would have been, I think, totally undeserved had they stolen the game, really. But from a Pats perspective, it's been a fantastic start to the season. They've played away to Shamrock Rovers, away to Bohs, and away to Dundalk. They're still unbeaten, and they're joint top of the league. And I don't know. I mean, is it realistic to talk about St. Pat's at this stage being in a title challenge? I don't think any of their fans would have expected them at the start of the season to have done as well as they had. I think hoping to get a European spot would have probably been the summit of their ambitions. But are we looking at higher than that now, Pats fans? It would be very interesting, but certainly a fantastic start for them. And Dundalk, if I was a Dundalk fan, I'd take heart from looking at the Premier League and looking at Manchester City and looking at where they were before Christmas, as in down in mid-table and absolutely totally out of the title race. And within a few weeks, they had the Premier League virtually won, and they just kicked on because of the quality of the players they have. And I think if you're looking at the quality of the players Dundalk have, it's really only Shamrock Rovers that can touch them if they get that squad playing at the peak of their ability. And then the manager's job is absolutely crucial, and see who they get in for that.
Yeah, I think, look, it's not unrealistic to talk about Pats in that sense, but I think the fans aren't getting ahead of themselves. I think they're all kind of quite level-headed and said, we've been in this situation before, and then a couple of results went badly, and then all of a sudden the season just fell through their fingertips. So I think they're just taking it one game at a time and just seeing how it goes. I don't think they're getting carried away, which is a good way to be. So I think they're just going to take it each game at a time, as cliche as that sounds, but I think that's the way they're looking at it. As far as Dundalk, yeah, they can turn the season around. Do I think they can win the league? Probably not, because it would take Shamrock Rovers to have, like Liverpool, big injuries to big players in the next couple of weeks, and then for them to be without those players for the rest of the season, for them to really drop that many points. But it's not unrealistic for Dundalk to go on a run. They've shown that many times in the past. They would have to beat Shamrock Rovers in all the rest of the games they played them this season.
Yeah, they're 9 points behind Shamrock Rovers at this point. And
now, they've already played them though as well, do you know what I mean?
They've played them once, but they still have 3 games against them to play. I mean, it's not totally unrealistic. No, they wouldn't want to get they wouldn't want the gap to get any higher, and that's a concern. I mean, they do need to start winning games. But I'm looking at the fixtures, and depending what way you look at it, Dundalk have got a few winnable games coming up. Got to is going to the Brandywell to play Derry City an easier, a hard game. It's probably a very difficult game on Tuesday night. But they got the likes of Longford and Waterford coming up, which they'll feel are probably very winnable as well. They have to play Drogheda and the Louth Derby again. That's probably one they feel they should win. So definitely the gap can't really get much higher than it is at the moment. But if Dundalk could reel off 4, 5, 6 wins on the bounce, and even though we talked about Rovers, and they're still not playing at their best and they're still top of the league, but they've been grinding out results as well. So it's a very long way to go. That's all I'd say. It's a 36-game season and we're only 5 games into it. So I think if you're looking at a squad of Dundalk's calibre and the ability of the squad, you cannot rule them out of the title race at this stage, even though they are 9 points down.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that Shamrock Rovers haven't got out of second gear in a lot of games, and I think they will go up in levels. And if they start going up in levels, then it's their title to lose, in my opinion. But Ger obviously caught up with Sam Bone after the game. There didn't seem to be too many Dundalk people available to speak at the time, but Jim Magilton apparently did a press conference and said that all will be revealed in due course regarding the management and stuff like that. So that's all we know in that department as of right now. But Ger spoke with Sam Bone after the game. You can hear what he had to say here.
Sam Bone joins us here on Irish Football Fan TV following St. Pat's draw away to Dundalk tonight. Sam, we were kind of just saying a small bit off air there. It's hard to know what to kind of make of it because you were so close to victory, but then towards the end Dundalk really should have probably won it.
Yeah, look, I think the initial reaction is disappointment, not to see it out, especially to concede so late on. But look, I suppose it's a quick turnaround. We've got Waterford on Tuesday. There's no time for disappointment. It's important that we focus now for that game. And look, if we get the win against Waterford, then Finn Harps next week. This one's forgotten about, and it's a good start. So
the overall in general was kind of a weird game. I thought the first 10, 15 minutes, the referee let that go, was free flowing, but then the rest of the half kind of dipped. But the second half, especially towards the end, it was just all hands to deck. It was played at 100 miles an hour. What was it kind of like for yourself, kind of out there?
Yeah, look, it was difficult. They didn't really break us down in terms of passing or anything. Didn't cause a threat in that way. But they went direct there the last 10, 15 minutes, and it's difficult. When they throw a lot of bodies forward, it can be difficult, especially with them. They're such a physical side. Look, do you know what I mean? I need to look back at the game and we'll do that. The gaffer, in fairness, will do that. We'll sit down probably tomorrow, analyse it, what we can do better. And look, we're a new group. We'll learn from this. We'll become stronger from this, and I suppose this will only help us in the long run.
Yeah, personal delightment for yourself. You got a goal, your first for the club. I think only your 4th in League of Ireland footballs. Yeah, I've had a quick search there through the previous records and stats, so you must obviously be delighted with that. It was a good header.
Yeah, on a personal note, obviously it's nice to get on the score sheet. It's been a long time coming. I felt like I could have. Last week? It was against Bowls last week. I felt like I should have at least got my head on one of them. Completely missed the ball, but no, it's nice to get off the mark. And I keep hearing Sam's a threat from set pieces, and I felt like I hadn't shown them that yet. So it's nice to get a goal, and hopefully there's more to come throughout the season.
Is it something that Robbie works on, his set pieces? Because it was also his corner that led to Ronan's goal against Bowles a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think it's important that you practice set pieces. You see it time in, time out. In the Premier League, a lot of goals are scored from set pieces, so it's important that we do our work. It can be boring at times, when you've got to stay that 10 to 15 minutes after training, but you see it tonight, it paid off, and like I said, hopefully, we can get a few more goals from set pieces throughout the season.
I'm not sure if you got a chance to look at the results tonight, but wins for Sligo Rovers and Shamrock Rovers, or Shams as Ronan Coughlin calls them. At least 3 points now tied after 11 games. It couldn't be any tighter after 5 games. Overall, how have you made the season so far in general?
It's been a good start. It's been a good start, but look, it's important not to get carried away. I actually made the point yesterday with Lee Desmond talking about it. I remember Tottenham had a really good start to the Premier League, and everyone was saying, "Oh, they're flying and all." And now it's sort of like, "Oh, Mourinho's going to get the sack." But look, it's a good start.
Stephen O'Donnell's going to be in that situation then, or?
No, Jesus, no. But no, it's a good start, but it's important not to get ahead of ourselves. It's a long season, 36 games, isn't it? So no one remembers where you are, where you were in the first 5 games. So long season, and we'll keep plugging away and get better, and we'll see what happens.
Right, the showgrounds and the last game of the weekend, the Northwest Derby, and Sligo Rovers won, Finn Harps 0. Finn Harps' first defeat of the season. Sligo still going strong. Johnny Kenny with his first senior goal for Sligo Rovers, and I suppose the goalkeeper had a shocker in that moment. Mark McGinley unfortunately held onto the ball too long, got nicked off him, and Johnny Kenny put it into an empty goal. And I spoke earlier in the show about Bohs gifting Finn Harps a goal. Finn Harps basically gifted Sligo a goal there and never really recovered from it seems. And they suffered their first defeat, but look, they'll learn from it, I think, and they've a bit more experience about them this season. That I don't think that this defeat will affect them majorly in terms of confidence or whatever. I think they'll bounce back soon enough. I've actually been quite impressed with Finn Harps' resilience this season, but in a similar fashion, I've been very impressed with the way Sligo have started the season, and they look like they feel like they should be in contention for that kind of up near the top spot,
Well, they are. I mean, Sligo Rovers are top of the table.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it's justified.
Yeah, and both clubs have made a superb start. I mean, as you said, they were both unbeaten. Unfortunately for Harps, they've just lost that unbeaten record. But as you say, I don't think it's going to be taken that badly. I think Finn Harps, Ollie Horgan, the whole club, the players, the fans would have bitten your hand off for the start they've got, even allowing for that defeat in Sligo. So I'm sure they will bounce back, and it looks like Harps will not be involved in any relegation battle. I don't think they're going to be involved in the title race either, but it's still been a superb start for them. A great win for Sligo. Very tough on Mark McGinley, who's been a fantastic player and keeper, one of the standout players for Finn Harps last season and this season. But it's one hopefully he won't make again. But as you say, he was caught in possession, and there's a really awful photograph. Well, it's a great photograph taken by the photographer, but you can see the despair on Mark McGinley as John Joe Kenny is just rolling the ball into the empty net. And it's a real sickener for Harps, because it did look like they were going to hang on for a scoreless draw, which would have been a great result for them. Sligo, I mean, it's not that long ago since they did win the league, so who knows? But again, they're probably one of those teams you would have expected to be challenging for the European places as opposed to challenging for the title. But it is early days yet, and time will tell.
Well, they played Shamrock Rovers last week and didn't look out of place against them. Obviously took the lead through for Walter Figueira, and then Shamrock Rovers just decided to start turning it on and just be relentless again. But I think with Sligo, obviously the signings that they've made, and obviously the emergence of young Johnny Kenny there, they seem to be a really good side. Like Liam Buckley's done a good job in terms of when you look back at this time last year, and they hadn't got a point, I think, at this stage going into lockdown, and how they've turned it around. They got European football. That obviously seemed to help them get players. They've brought in good players, and now you're starting to see them actually do well. And I think Sligo Rovers fans could be forgiven for getting a bit ahead of themselves. I don't think they will. It's still very early days yet, but they've definitely shown that they can mix it with any team in the division.
Yeah, because I mean, they also drew with Dundalk as well on the opening night. As you said, they drew with Shamrock Rovers, took the lead very late in that game. Probably absolutely gutted to concede such a late equaliser then as well. But But yeah, they've done incredibly well. Real tough test for them going to Dalymount on Tuesday night, and that'll be a really interesting game now. But who knows? I mean, as I said, it's not that long ago since Sligo Rovers were champions and won a couple of FAI Cups as well in recent years. So why not?
Yeah, I think obviously with Sligo have gone joint top now with Shamrock Rovers, and I think Pats as well, 11 points from 5 games. So again, yeah, they're right in the mix, but they need to just continue this momentum that they're on. Finn Harps are down to 4th, but they're only 1 point off the top teams. So it's still a very successful start to the season, as you've mentioned. But I suppose that's been it for our League of Ireland show. Huge thanks to anyone who's tuned in. A huge thanks to anyone who might be a new listener and obviously a new fan of the league due to what's happened in the last 24 hours, basically. But yeah, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And let us know your thoughts on anything we discussed in the comments. And check out our First Division show as well, which will be separate to this. And we'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.